Chapter 2770. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1, Yunjian, Chu Ning panicked when she saw Yunjian's red lips moving and was about to say something. She called out to Yunjian the name that she used to call her when they were the most intimate. Ever since Lu Shiyun passed away and Team Monarch was disbanded, the other 6 members of Team Monarch had not seen each other for a long time. Even when they met, they were like strangers. Chu Ning had been startled awake from her sleep several times in the middle of the night. Those standing before her were her former comrades and her former nemesis. From the moment they appeared one by one, Yunjian already had an answer in her heart. She slowly raised her head and spoke to Chu Ning and the rest under the expectant gazes of Chu Ning, Chu Xiangnan and the rest, as well as the surrounding crowd who were watching the show. Since you've chosen me, Yunjian, to be your new captain, it means that you won't have the leisure time that you used to have. I, Yunjian, will not allow anyone in my team to drag us down. If you can do that, you can rejoin Team Monarch. What she meant was, Yunjian agreed. Chu Ning, Chu Xiangnan, Jiang Weiwei, and the rest had already given up hope. However, when they heard Yunjian's words, they raised their heads abruptly. Chu Xiangnan even widened his eyes and rushed to Yunjian in front of the crowd. Really? Yunjian, is what you said true? Yunjian took a small step back symbolically, her eyes calm. You can choose not to believe me and not join my team. No. How can I not believe you, Chu Xiangnan's voice suddenly choked up. The 1.8-meter-tall man suddenly wiped away his tears in front of the crowd and said, Captain will be happy for us. This voice came from Chu Xiangnan's mouth. Based on the sound of his voice, if he wasn't careful, even an indomitable man like him would cry out loud. Everyone in Team Monarch was silent. It was as if he was reminiscing about his captain, Lu Shiyun. The 7 of them didn't spend a long time together, but it wasn't short either. The 7 of them fought together, worked hard together, grew together, and even went to eat skewers together. But now, there was one less indispensable person. Everyone in Team Monarch knew that even if Team Monarch was reassembled, they would never be the same again. With the departure of Captain Lu Shiyun, many things in the past could never be redone. While everyone was silent, Yunjian suddenly took out 6 medals from her pocket. It was the emblem that the 7 members of Team Monarch wore when they were still in the team. He handed the 6 medals to Chu Ning and the other 4 and kept one for himself. Only Lu Shiyun was left out. The moment they caught the medals, Chu Ning and the other 4 lowered their heads and gripped the medals tightly. They looked at the medal that had been with them for years but was taken back by the military when Team Monarch was disbanded. Perhaps Yunjian already had plans to return to Team Monarch, but she never mentioned it before. The 7 of them used to be together, but now we've lost one of them forever. Chu Ning and the other 4 dared not ask where Lu Shiyun's medal went. Just as they were silent and the audience was silent as well, Yunjian suddenly took out Lu Shiyun's medal from her pocket and placed it in front of everyone. After 2 seconds of silence, she said the hot-blooded words that brought tears to Team Monarch's eyes. This medal belongs to the captain. I won't replace it. Lu Shiyun is the only captain in Team Monarch, and he will always be. I'm just a substitute to be your captain now. Translator, Henyi Translations Editor, Henyi Translations. Before Yunjian could say anything, Yiling looked up at Yunjian and told Yunjian with a sobbing face, I don't have a place to go. I don't dare to go home. I'm scared that he'll look for me at my house. You're the only place I can think of and the only person I know. Can you let me stay for a few days? I'll leave once I find a place. He was, of course, referring to Lin Wei. Sure. Since Ce was not around, Yunjian agreed. Hearing this, Yiling finally put on a smile that was uglier than crying and followed Yunjian into the house. After drinking a cup of piping hot water and holding it, Yiling finally revealed the reason why she did not want to be found by Lin Wei. I went to the gynecology department for a checkup 2 days ago. The doctor said that I exercised too much when I was in the hunting school. There's only a 1% chance of me having a child in the future. I know that he doesn't love me and he won't love me in the future. He can give me a perfect wedding and a future, but he won't give me love. As long as I stay by his side, he'll only have me. It's enough as long as I love him. But I can't have a child. Even the doctor said that this 1% chance is the same as being infertile. You know that he doesn't love me, but he wants a child. I can't have one and I'm afraid that he'll despise me. So I plan to leave him first. As long as he finds another woman who can give birth to his child, he'll probably forget about me. Translator, King Bao. Editor, King Bao. Chapter 2772. Yiling's thoughts were more meticulous, and Lin Wei was someone who often talked about the topic of having children. Yunjian's love history was only with Ce. She did not want to and would not flirt with any other man. Hence, Yunjian could not read Lin Wei's mind like a relationship expert. Yiling lowered her head and remained silent after saying that. Yunjian said something that was not comforting at all. You can stay at my house for a few more days. Thank you, Yunjian. Yiling's hurt heart finally warmed up. Ce had left in Hun Group for 4 months. Naturally, there was a lot of work waiting for him. He would not be back anytime soon. Hence, Yiling stayed at Yunjian's house for a few days without disturbing Yunjian and Ce's life. Ce was not at home. During the weekend, Yunjian stayed at home. Zhang Xiaofeng, Chen Xinyi, and Ling Yichen came to look for Yunjian. They said that a middle school classmate was holding a class reunion and wanted everyone to attend. Not only could they attend, but they could also invite their friends and family. Since the location of the reunion was a barbecue in the wilderness, the more people there were, the merrier it would be. After Yunjian was reborn in Xinjiang town, she transferred to Longmanyjiang's Year 3 class and not long after. It could be said that she did not spend much time with this group of classmates. It was less than a year. Other than Zhang Xiaofeng, Chen Xinyi, and Ling Yichen, she only remembered a few classmates who were against each other. The other classmates who did not talk much did not know each other. Yunjian did not want to attend at first. However, after Chen Xinyi held her hand and acted coquettishly for a while, Yunjian agreed. She even brought Yiling along. There were a lot of people at the reunion, but there were only about 20 of them who were Yunjian's former classmates. The rest of the people who came were the relatives and friends of these former classmates. Most of the students who came were different from the students who had been obedient in school. Whether it was the way they dressed or the way they dressed, they were very different from when they were in their teens. The location of the picnic this time was a small mountain called the Back Mountain Pavilion. There was a place in the Back Mountain Pavilion that had beautiful scenery. It was right next to the shore of a lake. If one accidentally ignited a fire during the barbecue, they could immediately put it out. Therefore, the location of the picnic was chosen here. And now, everyone was standing at the foot of Back Pavilion Mountain. We're still missing one person. Student Zhang Meihan isn't here yet. Everyone, please wait a little longer. The organizer of this class reunion was Zhang Xiaorong, a male classmate from her former class who didn't like to talk much. After hearing Zhang Xiaorong's words, they thought of Zhang Meihan, and their former classmates began to talk about it. Do you guys know? I saw Zhang Meihan last year. Her weight of 150 pounds actually decreased to 100 pounds. She was tall to begin with, and her foundation wasn't bad either. She used to be fat, but now, she's really beautiful. Is that true? That fat girl actually succeeded in losing weight. 100 pounds. She's 2 pounds slimmer than me. Zhang Meihan, who the classmates were talking about, used to be a famous fat girl. Because of her inferiority complex, she usually walked with her head down and ignored everyone. Usually, at a class reunion, the former classmates would undergo earth-shattering changes. The changes would be so big that it would make you gasp in amazement. She's here, she's here. Just then, someone called out and looked in that direction. They saw a woman wearing a short skirt that exposed her thighs and a lady's shoulder t-shirt that showed off her figure. She was holding a mature man in a suit and leather shoes as they walked over. This woman's figure was curvy and not bad at all. She was the student Zhang Meihan that the classmates were talking about. This beauty was completely different from the 150 pounds of female fat girl in the past. Zhang Meihan walked over to the crowd with the man in her arms. She exuded a strong sense of confidence from inside out. When she arrived in front of Yun Jian and the others, she glanced at everyone and then spoke with a rather proud tone. "Students, long time no see. In order to show my sincerity, all the barbecue equipment and barbecue used for today's class reunion will be reimbursed to my husband's account. It's my treat. M." Chapter 2773. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. When Zhang Meihan said this, the faces of the surrounding students were a little ugly. After all, Zhang Meihan was looked down upon and bullied by many students because of her obesity. At that time, Zhang Meihan's family was poor. Now that it was a class reunion, she was tall and slender. Moreover, she said that she would treat them to a meal so easily. Moreover, there was a handsome and rich husband who looked to be in his 30s beside her. Many of the students were silent. "Hey! Yun Jian. Chen Xinyi." Zhang Meihan looked around. She originally had her head held high and looked at everyone with disdain. However, when she saw Yun Jian and Chen Xinyi, she let go of her husband's hand and ran over. "Can you give me a hug?" Zhang Meihan looked at Yun Jian and Chen Xinyi and asked excitedly. Zhang Meihan's presence in class was very low in the past. Yun Jian did not remember her name. Although Zhang Meihan's appearance changed a lot, Yun Jian could still follow her outline and find her figure in her memory. She had unconsciously helped Zhang Meihan with Chen Xinyi. Once, during a Sunday shift, Zhang Meihan and a few other classmates were on duty to sweep the floor together. Those classmates said that Zhang Meihan didn't have a boyfriend anyway, so they gave all the work to Zhang Meihan to do. Zhang Meihan couldn't help but retort. Later, Chen Xinyi found Zhang Meihan sobbing and sweeping the floor in an empty classroom after school. She called Yun Jian to help. After cleaning, Zhang Meihan did not thank Yun Jian and Chen Xinyi. She lowered her head and ran back home alone. This was a matter that happened many years ago. Yun Jian had long forgotten about it. She did not even know her name. To Yun Jian, it might be a trivial matter that did not matter if it was mentioned or not, but to someone who was in despair back then, it was a ray of hope for survival bestowed by God. "Let's not. Look, your husband is looking at us." Chen Xinyi shook her hand heartlessly. She rejected the hug. However, Zhang Meihan was not angry. She walked to Yun Jian and Chen Xinyi's side and went up the mountain intimately. Yun Jian did not feel uncomfortable with Zhang Meihan's friendliness. On the other hand, Chen Xinyi and Zhang Meihan quickly got along well. Even when Zhang Xiaofeng walked beside her, Chen Xinyi did not pay attention to him. "Master, look at her. She has forgotten her old love after she has a new translation." Zhang Xiaofeng put on an angry face and Yun Jian. "Yun Jian. Do you still love? Is Yun Jian. Zhang Xiaofeng had a helpless expression on his face. Yi Ling, who was walking beside them, did not say anything. Especially when she heard Zhang Xiaofeng and Chen Xinyi being lovey-dovey, her expression was very gloomy. Yun Jian, I want to walk here alone. Yi Ling suddenly said to Yun Jian. Okay. Yun Jian acquiesced. Yi Ling followed another deserted path and walked further and further away. She came to the other side of the lake and stood by the shore. Looking at her reflection on the water, she felt a chill in her heart. It had been so many days. He should have found a woman who could bear his child by now, right? But as soon as she thought of the possibility that he was with another woman, her heart throbbed with pain. After standing by the lake for a long time, Yi Ling wiped away her tears. Just as she turned around, she suddenly bumped into a strong chest. When Yi Ling raised her head and saw the person who had come, her expression suddenly changed. The person who stood behind her without saying a word was Lin Wei, whom she thought had gone to find another woman to bear his child with. Bookhouse Reading Website. Chapter 2774. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Yun Jian used to be number 1, Lin Wei, Yi Ling, page 1/1. Lin Wei's sudden appearance gave Yi Ling a fright. She took a step back and almost fell into the lake. Be careful. Fortunately, Lin Wei's hands were quick. He grabbed Yi Ling's slender waist and pulled her into his embrace. Only then did Yi Ling not fall into the lake. Yi Ling's heart was pounding in Lin Wei's arms. It was as if there was a voice in her heart screaming that she didn't want to push him away. She wanted to be with him for the rest of her life. She wanted to stay like this for the rest of her life and never let go of his hand again. But she couldn't. Yi Ling put her hands on Lin Wei's chest and struggled for a while. Lin Wei didn't hug her with all his strength. After Yi Ling escaped from Lin Wei's embrace, she glanced at Lin Wei and ran toward the mountain where Yun Jian and the others had gone first. After running for a few hundred meters, Lin Wei didn't catch up with her. Yi Ling was a little disappointed. She quickly continued to run toward the place where Yun Jian and the others had disappeared. What Yi Ling didn't see was that after she looked behind her and didn't see Lin Wei, she ran toward the mountain where Yun Jian and the others had gone. Not long after, Lin Wei followed her from the bottom of the mountain. He hadn't said a word since he appeared. Yi Ling couldn't tell whether he was happy or worried from the corners of his eyes. But when he saw Yi Ling running up the mountain, he followed her silently. Yun Jian and the others had arrived at a suitable place for a barbecue in the pavilion at the back of the mountain. There were more rocks here and fewer trees. The rocks were closer to the lake, so it was the most suitable place for a barbecue. The boys had already arranged the barbecue grills and barbecue utensils neatly. The girls, on the other hand, were sitting in their own territories, comparing their recent developments. People like Zhang Meihan could be considered to be one of the few who were doing well. Therefore, Zhang Meihan was very confident when she first appeared. Some girls who were jealous of Zhang Meihan simply stopped talking, while those girls who wanted to get close to Zhang Meihan all gathered around Zhang Meihan. Yun Jian was sitting beside Chen Xinyi when she saw Yi Ling running towards her in a hurry. Yun Jian, he's here, Yi Ling said to Yun Jian anxiously. Looking at Yi Ling's expression, it was obvious that she did not expect Lin Wei to come here to look for her. She thought that Lin Wei would find another woman after knowing that she couldn't give birth to a child. He had said that he could give her anything except love. What she wanted to do was very simple, and that was to give birth to his child. However, she could no longer conceive. Now that Lin Wei had come looking for her, all of this was beyond Yi Ling's expectations. Follow me. Yun Jian didn't say anything else. She just said indifferently. These words made Yiling nod fiercely. Yunjian, we remember that you gave up the best high school in our city to go to a military school outside the city. How are you doing now? Just as Yunjian whispered to Yiling, a girl in a floral dress asked Yunjian. After they parted ways that year, her former classmates didn't know how Yunjian was doing. After all, they hadn't seen each other for a few years. Not bad. Hearing the girl's question, Yunjian said humbly. In spite of it, the girl thought that Yunjian was not doing well and said sourly, "You're not doing well. You used to have such good grades, but you insisted on going to a military school. I already said that it's a place for men. What can a girl like you do if you go there? Are you regretting it now? Sigh, women should know their place. Why did you have to go to a military school?" The girl's words were laced with a hint of sourness that came out of nowhere. Yunjian's eyes darkened. Before she could reply, Zhang Xiaofeng was already annoyed. He picked up a stone and threw it on the ground. He stood up and retorted, "What are you talking about? My master was the only military school student who won first place in the Z country's special forces selection. He represented Z country and went to the internationally famous hunting school to further his studies. What are you talking about? What do you know?" Book Guesthouse Reading Website. Chapter 2775. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Zhang Xiaofeng's temper was a little irritable, especially when outsiders talked bad about Yunjian in front of him. He was the first to lose his temper. This roar gave the girl in the floral dress a huge fright. This girl's mouth was not clean either. After being shocked by Zhang Xiaofeng, she glared at Zhang Xiaofeng. "You're speaking so loudly. Do you think I can't hear you? Isn't it just first place? What's there to be proud of?" Zhang Xiaofeng was angered by this girl's words. He was so angry that he wanted to punch her. In the end, he was stopped by Ling Yichen. "Why are you being so calculative? Sit down." This girl was obviously the type of person with a big mouth. When she saw that Zhang Xiaofeng was stopped by Ling Yichen and sat down, she wanted to boast again. "It's not like she went to some dangerous place. Isn't she still sitting in front of us and having a reunion with our classmates? She didn't win any glory for the country. She's acting like a hero." These words were directed at Yunjian. After saying that, the girl even lifted the corner of her dress. She used a very reasonable tone that was directed only at Zhang Xiaofeng, as if she had never said anything bad about Yunjian. She said to Yunjian, "Yunjian, I'm not targeting you. It's just that someone used a scolding tone to talk to me. No matter what, I can't just not talk back after being scolded, right?" In this world, there was a type of person who said very unpleasant things. The person who happened to hear it was very hot-tempered, just like Zhang Xiaofeng. The hot-tempered person was scolded as a troublemaker. This troublemaker with unpleasant words actually made himself sound like a reasonable person. If she had the same temper as Zhang Xiaofeng, even if she was angry with this girl, she would definitely be in a higher position in her words. No matter how angry Zhang Xiaofeng was, he had to hold it in. However, just as the girl finished speaking and gained the upper hand, Yiling suddenly spoke up in front of everyone. "I grew up in a hunting school. Every year, a large number of the strongest special forces from all over the world would come to that place. Yunjian is the only woman I've seen in all my years in the hunting school. In that place, there is an 80% chance that the people who are sent in will come out as a skeleton. I've seen too many of them. Those who can last until the end are definitely global elites. That kind of glory is enough to change the world's view of the country where the strong are from." As for Yunjian, if she hadn't suddenly disappeared back then, Yunjian would have been the undisputed number one. But even so, In the hunting school, the recognized #1, as well as the Z country that nurtured such a talent, has a much higher status in the world. Yun Jian, she's really a heroine. As soon as Yi Ling said that, the girl who had the upper hand in the argument with Zhang Xiaofeng earlier gulped hard and deflated. Yi Ling's words made the girl's face turn green and purple. She didn't even have a chance to fight back. Of course, this topic was quickly skipped. Not long after Yi Ling finished speaking, she suddenly caught a glimpse of Lin Wei, who had followed her from the foot of the mountain not far away. Her heart tightened. Go, make it clear to him. Yun Jian patted Yi Ling's shoulder and said calmly. Okay. Yi Ling mustered up her courage and walked towards Lin Wei. Yi Ling walked past Lin Wei and led him into a small bamboo forest. Then, she turned around and spoke to Lin Wei with all her strength. I'm sorry, I can't give birth to your child. Anyway, you won't have feelings for me. I think it's better to make things clear. Let's just. Before she could finish her sentence, Lin Wei hugged her. Fiercely and tightly. Yi Ling couldn't break free. Just as Yi Ling's heart was throbbing, Lin Wei suddenly said, "Don't go." In the end, Lin Wei added a sentence that was like a slap to his own face. I can't leave you. Adam said it's because I've fallen in love with you. Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 2777. Page 1/1. To Lin Wei in the past, love was something that he would never touch in this world. Finding a woman to have children with was the most important thing. Other than that, he couldn't give women any so-called love, so having children was the most important thing. But now, he had to let Yi Ling leave his side forever. This was even more unacceptable than being unable to have children. You. Yi Ling looked up at Lin Wei in shock. The astonishment on her face was indescribable. Then you really, don't mind that I can't have children? Yi Ling still couldn't believe it. She looked up at Lin Wei and asked the question that she was afraid of but also wanted to know the answer to. Is there a difference between being able to give birth or not? Unexpectedly, Lin Wei said such a sentence. Then will your parents dislike me? Yi Ling asked nervously. As soon as she finished asking, she paused and raised her head to look at Lin Wei. Lin Wei said, I don't have parents. Yi Ling realized that she had asked the wrong question. She was about to apologize to Lin Wei, but Lin Wei didn't give her a chance to speak. He continued, You're enough. Lin Wei was indeed someone who didn't know how to say sweet nothings, but in Yi Ling's ears, these few words were more moving than the words of any glib-tongued boy. Yi Ling was shrouded by Lin Wei's tall figure. She lowered her head slightly, but her cheeks were rosy. She nodded. After 2 years, when you two have recovered, you can try IVF. As long as you have money, it won't be a problem. Just as Yi Ling was nestled in Lin Wei's arms and couldn't control herself, a woman's voice came from the side. Lin Wei wasn't surprised, but Yi Ling turned to look. Unbeknownst to them, Yun Jian was already standing there. Ah, Yun Jian. When did you get here? Yi Ling was so scared that she quickly extricated herself from Lin Wei's arms. From the beginning to the end. Yun Jian smiled and snapped her fingers. After she finished, she turned around and said these words to Lin Wei before she left the place. Treat her well. Lin Wei took Yi Ling away. The class reunion ended after the lively barbecue. Zhang Xiaofeng and Chen Xinyi were living a very happy life now. Because of Yun Jian's intervention, Zhang Xiaofeng and Chen Xinyi's parents revealed that they were not blood-related cousins. Only Zhang Xiaofeng and Chen Xinyi knew the truth. After returning home, Yun Jian received a letter. She didn't care about it at first, but the moment she opened the envelope, her attention was attracted by the signature. It was a letter from Shinji. But Shinji hadn't personally sent it. The letter was from one of Shinji's subordinates. He said that Shinji had told him to find an opportunity to send this letter to her after she died. The content of the letter was very simple, with only a few short sentences. But the words had Shinji's style. Chapter 2780. Page 1/1. No matter how Yunjian tried to explain, Ce refused to listen. He pressed her against the window that was not closed and the curtains were not drawn, causing her legs to wobble. Yunjian knew that Ce did not suspect her. Those were all excuses. What he really wanted was to be with her. Cough. 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 Mama Papa, Mama Papa. It was 8:00 at night that Yunjian went to bed. Just as she was let off by Ce, the children's babbling came from downstairs. Ce's brows were tightly knitted together. Yunjian saw how Ce's expression darkened, looking like he was about to rush up and beat up the children just by hearing their voices. She kissed Ce and Ce's expression eased. "I'll go take a look," Yunjian told Ce and opened the door. Chinyiru was already at the door with the children in her arms. After the children were born, Chinyiru was the one who took care of them. Xiao Yunju, Chinyiru, and Gu Yunjian's children were all taken care of by Chinyiru. Of course, all of them were fed until they were plump and chubby. "Xiao Jian, your dad and I have signed up for a spring outing for the elderly in our neighborhood. We're leaving for the province tomorrow. Take care of the kids for 2 days first. I'll take care of Yuan and Mingyu when I'm back," Chinyiru told Yunjian. The villa neighborhood where Chinyiru lived would organize a spring outing for the elderly every spring. In short, it was a spring outing for all the elderly in the neighborhood. The elderly who lived here usually came from well-to-do families, so they would usually go out for a few days. "Okay, Mom. Have fun with Dad," Yunjian promised as she took the little boy and the girl. "Yay! Sleep with Daddy and Mommy. Sleep with Daddy and Mommy," the little boy exclaimed excitedly when he was carried to the bed. The little guy could already speak some common words. The girl was slower to learn than the child, but she could already say some simple words. Stinky. When he was carried to Yunjian and Ce's bed, the girl kicked the child and snorted. Stinky meant stinky older brother. The child did not make a fuss or whine to make a fuss when he was kicked. If it was Zhou Ran, the little guy would have already rushed over to fight with Zhou Ran. Chinyiru and Gu Junjian came back to take the girls and the children to leave to their own to take Yunjian to the Yunjian. Ce returned to Anhun as well. Yunjian went back to study at the University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. Yunjian was in her 4th year and was about to graduate. The 4th year was a busy time. Yunjian did not go to school and only attended in name. In the last few months of her 4th year, the school required her to stay in school. That was why Yunjian went back to school. She studied in school for a few days. When she came out of the martial arts club, she was followed by members of the martial arts club and many other students. Everything was fine. However, when Yunjian came back to the university a few days ago, Peter, who was caught by Yunjian stealing a treasure from Z country's Sha province and was later invited to join the Kosha mercenaries, kept pestering her. As a matter of fact, Pete, who had been pestering Yunjian for a few days after leaving the martial arts club, suddenly appeared and chased after her. In front of the martial arts club members and all the college students who passed by, he yelled at Yunjian and made a big fuss about stealing. He was blatant about it. Snake. Lizard said that I can ask you to teach me things after I've been in the organization for 3 years. This is the privilege of the higher-ups. So hurry up and teach me how to steal. Hurry up and teach me the safest way to steal without being discovered. Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 2781. As soon as Peter came over, Yun Jian kicked him into the smelly ditch. Ah. Brother, you're here again. But I suggest you go to a mental hospital to have your head checked. Why did you have to learn how to steal? Zhou Huntao from the martial arts club had seen Peter more than once. He scratched his head and stuck out his tongue before speaking to Peter. He obviously treated Peter as a mental patient. Who would beg the Ren school to steal in broad daylight? Zhou Huntao shook his head with a helpless expression. Go back and stay. Yun Jian glanced at Peter indifferently and said in a flat tone. Hearing this, Peter knew that Yun Jian wanted to chase him away. He quickly climbed out of the ditch and shouted at Yun Jian, Don't. I've been in the organization for so many years and haven't improved at all. I can't take it anymore. Hurry up and teach me. Hurry. Peter was a godly thief who pursued improvement. Otherwise, he wouldn't have agreed to join the Kosha mercenaries. 5 years. He didn't expect Yun Jian to suddenly speak up. What? Peter was stunned. Add another 5 years to your contract. Other than me, no one else in this world is your match. Yun Jian stated her conditions and also gave him benefits. At the same time, she curled her lips. Of course, she was referring to the area of godly thieves. As long as Peter agreed, no one else would be his match. The conversation between the two of them stunned the surrounding people. They couldn't understand what they were talking about at all. Finally, after Peter received Yun Jian's promise, he returned to the Kosha mercenaries with satisfaction. After staying in Jiangxing City for 2 days, Yun Jian left the school with Mo Bufan and Zhou Huntao from the martial arts club. She was about 14 years old and had 2 rustic ponytails standing across the street from the school. She waved her hand and called out, Sister. Sister Yun Jian. When Zhou Huntao saw this, he glanced at Yun Jian and smiled wretchedly. Yo, President, who's that little girl who's calling you so enthusiastically? Do you know her? Yun Jian stared at the 14-year-old girl across the street. She paused for 2 seconds before nodding. Yes. She knew him. At this moment, the young lady on the other side of the road had already looked left and right. Seeing that there were no cars around, she ran over. It was Lu Ying. Back then, Yun Jian represented the University of Electronics Science and Technology of China in Jiangxing Normal University and went to the countryside to teach in the poor mountainous areas. She stayed at Lu Ying's house for 7 days. The little girl, Lu Ying, and her younger brother, Lu Shi, had always lived with their grandmother. Back then, it was Yun Jian who helped them find their mother, who had been imprisoned by the gang leader. The little girl, Lu Ying, was only 11 years old at that time. In the blink of an eye, she was already 14 years old. The little girl, Lu Ying, had always remembered Yun Jian and wanted to leave the mountains. Her academic performance was excellent. When she was in junior high school, she was in the top 3 in the entire H province. After the results of junior high school came out, it caused a sensation in H province. Countless schools threw football at the little girl, Lu Ying, wanting to invite her to enter junior high school to fulfill her wish of leaving the mountains and waive all the tuition fees. Unexpectedly, Lu Ying chose to come to Jiangxing City in Zhejiang province to study in junior high school where Yun Jian studied. However, junior high school in Zhejiang province did not waive tuition fees. Fortunately, the government subsidized it, so Lu Ying took the subsidy and worked at a junior high school in Jiangxing City. Compared to the 11-year-old Lu Ying 3 years ago, she had grown to be very lively. She was almost 1.6 meters tall. After running over from across the street, Lu Ying handed the cake she had brought back from work to Yun Jian and said shyly to Yun Jian, Sister Yunjian, this is for you. Chapter 2782. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1, Yo, little girl, you're quite pretty. Zhou Huntao whistled. This action made Lu Ying's face turn red. Have you learned the martial arts moves in the past 2 days? I'll check them one by one later. If you don't know, run around Jiangxing City. Yun Jian saw Zhou Huntao flirting with Lu Ying and kicked him lightly. No. President, I'll go right away. Zhou Huntao staggered forward. As he ran, he turned his head and left Lu Ying a cool gesture. Little girl, come to our school more often and eat more. I'll wait for you to grow up. As he spoke, he ran away with a group of students from the martial arts club. President, we'll take our leave first. Mo Bufan said to Yun Jian and followed them. Lu Ying was left behind with a red face. Lu Ying's clothes were very shabby, and her clothes were patched with rags. Her twin ponytails were also very rustic, but she looked very pure. Because she was thin, the tight pants and tights were loose on her body and couldn't hold them up. Yun Jian took good care of Lu Ying when she came to Jiangxing City. After all, the little girl came here because of her. Are you used to living here? Yun Jian saw that the people from the martial arts club had left. She turned to Lu Ying and asked. Yes. I'm very used to it. I used to yearn to live in a big city. Now that I'm in school, my classmates are very good to me. Even the manager of the cake shop. Lu Ying said with a smile. Her tone was relaxed. The manager of the cake shop was the one that Lu Ying worked for. Yes. Yun Jian nodded. In the end, she took out a black pen from her trouser pocket and wrote a phone number on Lu Ying's hand. Remember to lend me your phone if you need anything. Okay. Thank you, Sister Yun Jian. But I'll be fine. Lu Ying held the phone number that Yun Jian wrote for her tightly in her hand. Then, Sister Yun Jian, I'll go to work first. Lu Ying said, waving at Yun Jian. She bared her teeth, turned around, and ran away. Seeing this, Yun Jian pursed her lips and turned to walk towards the headquarters of the martial arts club. Lu Ying was working at the cake shop. It was already 10:00 in the evening when she got off work. Today, the cake shop owner had just given Lu Ying a month's salary. 500 yuan. Because it was a temporary job, the pay was not much, but for Lu Ying, it was already very good. Holding this sum of money, Lu Ying already had a plan in her heart. She wanted to buy a birthday present for Yun Jian. Although Yun Jian's birthday had already passed, she did not make it in time. This time, Lu Ying planned to give Yun Jian a surprise. For some people, 500 yuan might be half a month's pocket money or 1 or 2 months' pocket money. But to Lu Ying, it was a huge number. She had to save a small portion and send it back to her hometown in H province, Wuzhen, for her mother, brother, and grandmother as living expenses. He left a little for his living expenses. Then, he would buy a present for Yun Jian. Holding the 500 yuan, Lu Ying lowered her head and smiled slightly. She turned a corner and walked in the direction of the school. She had always lived in the school. But the moment Lu Ying turned the corner, she suddenly saw a few young men standing at the corner with a few baseballs and iron rods in their hands. Lu Ying instinctively stopped in her tracks. Just as she was about to turn around and take the long way back to the school, she saw that these young men with baseballs and iron rods had already surrounded her. One of them even pointed at the money she was protecting in her arms and blackmailed her confidently. Hey, little girl, you're a student of Jiangxing Junior High School, right? Just now, we saw that the shop you worked at gave you a salary. Hee, we're a little short on money recently, so lend us some money to spend. In the future, we'll take care of you in Zhongqing. Whoever dares to bully you is bullying us. Book Guesthouse Reading Website. Chapter 2783. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. 15 days later. Yun Jian had just stepped out of the school gates. In another month or two, Yun Jian would be graduating from the University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. This also meant that her school life was about to come to an end. Yun Jian grew up in an Han group. Although she did not have the chance to study from elementary school to the second year of junior high, she would still go to school in her free time from junior high to senior year, even though she did not go to school every day like the others. It could be considered as making up for the time she could not go to school. Now, she was about to graduate. She was looking forward to it. Hey, President, are you going back to your hometown this week? I heard your hometown is in Longmen City and you have to take the bus from the station. Let's go back together. Zhou Huntao from the martial arts club caught up to Yun Jian just as she stepped out of the school gates. Yun Jian did not stop walking as she nodded. Oh, right, why hasn't the little girl who gave you cake 2 weeks ago come back after so many days? Zhou Huntao could not help thinking of Lu Ying. Yun Jian's eyes darkened when she heard that. The place where Lu Ying worked was a cake shop near the station. When she passed by, Yun Jian did not see Lu Ying, who was usually busy in the shop. I'll go take a look, Yun Jian said to Zhou Huntao and entered the shop. Oh, I'll go too. Zhou Huntao said and followed her in. The manager of the cake shop was a middle-aged man nearing his 40s. When he heard Yun Jian asking about Lu Ying, his expression changed. After leaving the cake shop, Yun Jian went straight to the city hospital. Something had happened to Lu Ying. That night 15 days ago, she was extorted by a group of boys from a nearby university when she had just been paid 500 yuan. Lu Ying would rather die than hand over the 500 yuan because to her, it was not only her living expenses for the next month, but it was also the living expenses of her mother, brother, and grandmother who lived in the poor countryside. Just walking from the village to the school took 2 hours. When the group of boys from the nearby university saw that Lu Ying refused to hand over the money no matter what, they felt that they had lost face. Thus, they started to beat and kick Lu Ying. Originally, he just wanted to let Lu Ying know how powerful he was. However, he did not expect that he would accidentally hit Lu Ying's head with the iron rod. Lu Ying was knocked unconscious on the spot. The group of boys was so scared that they ran away. If Lu Ying had not been discovered by a passerby, Lu Ying would have died on the spot. Later, he was sent to the hospital for treatment and his life was no longer in danger. However, he was still severely concussed and had some sequelae. Lu Ying's mother was far away in H province. The cake shop owner said that Lu Ying's form teacher, Teacher Zhou, had gone to the police station on behalf of Lu Ying's parents. She said that she had found the boys who had committed the crime and was dealing with them. Yun Jian did not choose to return to Longmen City. She went to the hospital and went to the local police station after seeing that Lu Ying had fallen asleep. When Zhou Huntao found out about this, he didn't go home. Instead, he hurriedly left with Yun Jian. As soon as he arrived, he saw a woman standing at the door talking on the phone. This woman was none other than Teacher Zhou, the form teacher who had represented Lu Ying's parents in suing the boys who had committed the crime. According to the nurses in the hospital, it was Teacher Zhou who had paid for Lu Ying's medical fees. Just as Yun Jian arrived, a few boys walked out of the police station, looking mighty and arrogant. Ha, I knew it. What can happen? We didn't hurt the girl on purpose. She's severely concussed and not dying. Can't we just get my mom to compensate us? That scared me. I thought something big was going to happen. Great, now we have a reason to ask for more money from our parents. F***ck, we can't even afford to treat our girlfriends when we go out these few days. How embarrassing in front of a bunch of girls. The boys chatted with their arms around each other's shoulders as they walked out of the police station, looking like they were in a sloppy mood. That was right. These boys were the ones who had hurt Lu Ying. Judging by their behavior, they did not seem to have any intention of admitting their mistake. They even acted as if their injuries were not serious enough, and even the police had no right to care about them. Stop right there. After Teacher Zhou finished her call, she walked over to stop the boys. What's wrong, old woman? Among them, the most arrogant boy glanced at Teacher Zhou with a contemptuous expression and spoke rudely. My student was injured by you and sent to the hospital. Aren't you going to apologize and repent? Teacher Zhou was angry and wanted to reason with this group of people. Get out of the way. Old woman. If you speak again, I'll hit you too. After the most arrogant boy said this, he waved his fist but did not really hit her. After that, he clicked his tongue and led the group of people in another direction. Just as he glanced over, he saw a young girl in her early 20s. The young girl was wearing a tight white top and tight jeans, which accentuated her slim and seductive figure. The boy's eyes immediately lit up. The rather arrogant boy whistled and asked, "Little girl, which school are you from, which school?" Before he could finish his sentence, Yun Jian raised her leg and kicked the boy's chin. The boy fell to the ground with his back facing the ground in a second. In the next second, Yun Jian stepped on the boy's head in front of the group of boys, Teacher Zhou, and Zhou Huntao. She looked coldly at the group of boys who had extorted Lu Ying and retaliated with the same extortion method. I'm Yun Jian, the president of the Martial Arts Society of Jiangxing University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. I'll give you two choices now. First, give me 1 million and you can get out of my sight. Second, I'll send you to the hospital for free. Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 2784. 1 million. Who could afford this amount of money? Otherwise, they wouldn't have tried to extort money from Lu Ying. This group of boys did indeed have some money, but at most, they were the kind that cared for food and clothing. Moreover, boys at this age loved to play. Their parents had restricted their children's pocket money, so this group of boys couldn't spend lavishly in front of girls. They felt that it was embarrassing, so they tried to extort money. 1 million. What a joke. If we could afford this amount of money, we could still extort that little thing from 2 days ago. You're just here to pick a fight. Seeing that Yun Jian had stepped on one of their own, a boy with red, yellow, and blue hair, who was about the same height as Yun Jian, was shocked by Yun Jian's fierce moves. Obviously, he didn't know that Yun Jian was here for the little thing he mentioned, Lu Ying. Congratulations, you guessed right. I'm here to pick a fight. This is a big gift for you. He thought that Yun Jian would stop. Unexpectedly, as soon as she retracted her foot from the boy's head, she kicked the boy with red, yellow, and blue hair, sending him flying 10 meters away. Hey, President, how dare this group of people bully a cute little girl? I'll help you beat them up. At most, we'll go to the police station. I'll show you the power of the Martial Arts Club of the University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. Seeing this, Zhou Huntao didn't look at Lu Ying's homeroom teacher, Teacher Zhou, who wanted to stop the group fight. He rushed up and clenched his fist, ready to fight. However, just as Zhou Huntao was about to clench his fist, the group of boys who hurt Lu Ying were already lying on the ground, covering the places where they were kicked. They looked at Yun Jian as if they had seen a monster and howled in pain. After leaving the police station, Yun Jian walked to the hospital. Hey, President, you should have beaten up that group of scumbags a few more times just now so that they won't forget you. Zhou Huntao followed behind Yun Jian and kept talking. Until the two of them entered Lu Ying's ward. At this time, Lu Ying had already woken up. However, she was looking out of the window, and no one knew what she was thinking. Seeing Yun Jian and Zhou Huntao enter the house, Lu Ying opened her mouth. She was no longer as spirited as before. She looked a little disappointed. Sister, why is the outside world so different from our world? Grandma said that although the people in our world are poor, they would rather starve to death than steal or rob. Grandma said that the era her grandfather lived in was really poor. At that time, it was dry and there was no rain in 4 seasons. The harvest of a year was not enough to eat. My great-grandfather starved to death. But even at the last moment, he didn't have the intention to steal people's money and food. Chapter 2785. Yun Jian did not wait for Lu Ying's answer. She left the hospital straight away. Zhou Huntao was about to leave, but when he saw that Lu Ying's emotions were unstable, he messed up his hair and shouted, "I'll go." Then, he ran out to make a phone call. He planned to stay in the hospital overnight to accompany Lu Ying. He had a loud voice and was not very mature, but he had a kind heart. Looking at Lu Ying's tiny frame, he pitied her, so he volunteered not to go home and stay with her. Longmen City, Qing Yu's house. It was a mess. Gu Nianji had left, lured back to Deity Continent by Li Nong. Lang Mei had left, captured by Di Lin and brought back to Blood Doll. Si Luo and Luo Mei had left Longmen City a long time ago. Qing Yu began to let herself go. Currently, on the couch in Qing Yu's house. Qing Yu wore a tight white singlet, her fair arms bared carelessly as she sat on the couch. Her legs that were only clad in a pair of loose shorts were propped up on the back of the couch that was higher than her butt. He reached into the large bag of potato chips in his arms and threw them into his mouth. Crunch, crunch, crunch. He chewed on them until the chips were everywhere. There were also a lot of clothes scattered around. Qing Yu was watching the Calabash Brothers on the color TV in front of the couch with a frown, staring at it nervously. She had watched the Calabash Brothers so many times that she was sick of it, but every time she saw the important part where her grandfather was taken away by the sprite, she would tense up physically and mentally. It was a joy to watch it over and over again. Yunix shook her head and took off her apron helplessly, coming out of the kitchen where the dishes had just been cleaned. Halfway through her potato chips, Qing Yu suddenly hopped off the couch and ran to the fridge barefooted. She took out a sealed bottle of red wine and ran back to the couch, waving at Yunyi. Yunyi, Git's sister Jian gave me this bottle of red wine a while ago. It's expensive, do you want to have a taste? For some reason, Qing Yu had learned to call Yunyi Gij in a coquettish voice since some time ago. The girl's soft voice tickled Yunyi, making him tingle all over. He really wanted to press the tempting Qing Yu beneath him and play with her. Yunyi suppressed her wicked thoughts and walked over to snatch the red wine from Qing Yu's hand, raising it high. You're not allowed to drink. Why? Why? Yunyi Gij, it's fine if you don't want to drink with me, but why can't I drink too? Qing Yu jumped up but could not reach Yunyi's hand. She grabbed the corner of Yunyi's shirt with one hand and pouted. How many bottles of red wine has Xiao Jian given you? Drinking it every day isn't good for your health. Yunyi walked to the sink and poured the red wine into the sink in front of Qing Yu, washing it away with the water. No. Yunyi Gij, just a small sip. I'll agree to anything you want, just a small sip, okay? Qing Yu panicked when she saw that Yunyi was about to empty the red wine. Making sure that there was only a little red wine left in the bottle, Yunyi stopped in time and looked at Qing Yu with a smirk. Qingyu ran to Yunyi from afar and leaned against Yunyi, rubbing against his arm. Yunyi, Gij, I'll just drink a little. Her voice was so soft that Yunyi could not control herself. You'll agree to anything. Yunyi's breathing grew heavier. Qingyu nodded like a rattledrum. Yunyi pressed Qingyu against the sink with one hand and lowered his head to whisper wickedly in her ear, making his request. Come to the bedroom with me. I'll return it to you after we're done with what we have to do. Chapter 2786. What Yunyi said sounded like a boss of a business who was over 50 years old, had shifty eyes and was not even as tall as Qingyu, but wanted to get a room with a young girl just because he was rich and powerful. It was a balding, beer-bellied boss who was clearly not supposed to be doing things his age but relied on his wealth and power to force a woman to submit to him. Coming from Yunyi, however, the words had a different meaning. It felt like it was only natural. Qingyu watched Calabash Brothers every day, but she understood what Yunyi meant. Blushing, she pushed Yunyi away and walked out of the kitchen with a pout. No. I'll just ask Sister Jian for another bottle of red wine. It's only a sip, I don't care for it. Just as she said that, Yunyi's wicked expression did not change. He picked up the bottle of red wine and gulped down the last mouthful. Yunyi never drank red wine. Qingyu was still walking toward her room with a pout, looking adorable and alluring. Yunyi caught up to Qingyu in 3 long strides. When he was in front of her, he placed his hand on the back of Qingyu's head and lowered his head as well. It was a deep kiss that transferred all the red wine in his mouth into hers. It was a deep kiss that made Qingyu shy and bashful. When he let go, Qingyu wiped her lips with the back of her hand and jumped up to pat Yunyi before running back to her bedroom. She even locked her bedroom door. I won't let him in. Bad guy. In the bedroom, Qingyu lowered her head again at the thought of Yunyi feeding her red wine in such a way. Placing her hands on her cheeks, she patted them twice softly, planning to leave the bedroom after Yunyi left her house. Too shy, too shy. Little Qingyu, open the door. Just as she stepped into the bedroom, Yunyi's magnetic voice came from outside. There was even a hint of naughtiness in his voice. I'm not feeling well today. Can you help me throw away the trash in the living room and go home? I'll look for you tomorrow, and then we can go to the movies together. Qingyu's eyes darted around, her gaze drifting. The lie that came out of Qingyu's mouth was not entirely accurate. Qingyu and Yunyi had been dating for almost 6 years. Other than kissing, hugging, and touching, there was nothing more intimate. However, Qingyu could already feel Yunyi's eagerness. Where do you feel uncomfortable? I'll show you. Yunyi waited for Qingyu to finish before continuing, refusing to give up. There's no need for that. I'll be fine after a nap. Qingyu leaned against the door, listening for Yunyi's departing footsteps. Who would have thought that just as Qingyu was putting all her strength on the door to hear if Yunyi had left, the door was suddenly unlocked. Qingyu's center of gravity was on the door, so she fell out of the room when the door was suddenly opened. Yunyi caught her in time, hugging the little liar Qingyu in his arms. Chapter 2787. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Actually, Qingyu had been in a relationship with Yunyi for about 6 years and had given her heart to him. In spite of it, Qingyu was a little scared. She had once secretly asked Yunjian if her first time hurt. In the end, Yunjian had replied, "It hurts more than any pain I've experienced before." Qingyu was stunned for a few years when she heard that. Every time Yunyi wanted to go further with her, she would come up with all sorts of excuses to change the topic. She was afraid of pain. The internationally renowned poison lady, the elder of the Kosha mercenaries, Qingyu, was the most afraid of pain. Yun-yi, Gij. Yun-yi, Gij, you're the best. I know I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong. Qin-yu pressed down on Yun-yi's body that was on top of her and looked at Yun-yi with her most innocent and pitiful gaze. Little did she know that Yun-yi's breathing grew heavier when he saw Qin-yu's innocent and pitiful gaze. Be good, I'll be gentle. Yun-yi said slowly as if he knew what Qin-yu was afraid of. Will it really be very, very gentle? Sister Jian said it hurts more than all the injuries she's been through. Qin-yu was still scared as she blinked at Yun-yi. Yun-yi's expression darkened when he heard that it was his younger sister who had tricked him, but he recovered quickly and forced Qin-yu to give in. It doesn't hurt. I'll stop when you say it hurts. Be good, let's try. In spite of it, when Qin-yu cried out in pain, Yun-yi had turned into a ferocious wolf. No matter how she knocked or scratched, he refused to stop. In the end, Qin-yu's legs gave out for 3 days. 1.5 months later. River City University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. Yun Jian had just come out of the martial arts club and was heading to the school. Yun Jian, Jijia. Before she entered the school, a female voice came from behind her. It was Lu Ying. Yun Jian was about to graduate. In a few days, it would be her final graduation exam. Yun Jian turned around. Sister Yun Jian, what you said last time. I've been thinking about it for more than a month. Now, I've figured it out. I want to go to school properly. Here, no matter how difficult the future is, I will persevere. Because I want to be a teacher. Go back to the countryside and teach like the teachers in Wuzhen. Then tell them about the outside world. This was Lu Ying's decision and future plan after serious consideration over the past few days. Since you've decided, don't go back on your words. Yun Jian only said this one sentence. In the end, she patted Lu Ying's shoulder and said nothing else. She turned around and entered the school gate. I will. I will. Lu Ying's eyes suddenly turned red. She put her hands around her mouth and shouted at Yun Jian, who was walking through the school gate. 2 days later, Yun Jian suddenly received a piece of good news. Yi Ling was pregnant. Yi Ling originally thought that there was only a 1% chance. Yi Ling had already planned to have a test tube baby with Lin Wei in the future. She was even prepared to have a Dink family. At most, she would not have children. Who knew that Yi Ling would actually be pregnant with a child in this 1% chance? When Yun Jian went to see Yi Ling and Lin Wei, she happened to meet Yi Ling and Lin Wei at the gate. When Yi Ling saw Yun Jian, she wanted to jump from the steps at the gate to the flat ground and hug Yun Jian. However, as soon as she took a step and was about to jump down from the steps at the gate, Lin Wei grabbed her. Not only did he not let Yi Ling walk down the steps by herself, he even carefully carried Yi Ling in a princess carry. After carrying her down the steps, he put her on the ground. He even held her hand tightly and said bluntly, "Why are you running? What if I lose my child?" Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 2788. Being carried down the stairs by Lin Wei, especially in front of Yun Jian, made Yi Ling feel awkward. She pushed Lin Wei and whispered, "I'm not that weak." If it was another man, he would have agreed to Yi Ling's request. Unfortunately, this man was Lin Wei. Yes, he said to Yi Ling sternly as if he was lecturing an assassin from an Hun's assassin training camp. As soon as Lin Wei, who was serious and did not even know how to say sweet sarcasm, said that, Yi Ling went to Yun Jian in a huff. She ignored Lin Wei for 3 whole hours. Lin Wei was confused. What did he do wrong? Yun Jian visited Yi Ling and brought some supplements for her. Then, she returned to the University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. In a few days, it would be the senior year's graduation exam. Although Yun Jian didn't study in school most of the time, she still got full marks in all her subjects and could graduate successfully. The final graduation exam was just a formality to her. Today, Yun Jian was sitting alone on the lawn beside the basketball court, reading a book. It was rare for Yun Jian to have such a leisurely time. Mo Bufan, Zhou Huntao, Zhou Dun, and the other members of the martial arts club formed a team. They were having a friendly match with a basketball team from Jiang City Media University, which was organized by the school hunk of Jiang City Media University. Yun Jian was reading a book and watching the basketball game. In the end, she put the book on her face and lay on the lawn beside the basketball court. She closed her eyes and slept. Ah! Qijuan is so handsome. Ah, I can't hold it in anymore. My heart is beating so fast. How can there be such a handsome boy? The basketball team from Jiang City Media University was organized by Luo Qijuan, the school hunk of Jiang City Media University. The group of admirers of Luo Qijuan, who had followed him here from the Media University of Jiang City, shouted and screamed at the top of their lungs. Their voices shook the sky. Mo Bufan was also the school hunk of Jiang City University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. His team was balanced with Luo Qijuan's. Originally, the two handsome guys each had their own merits, but at this juncture, whoever was more powerful would win the hearts of the girls. Mo Bufan, Zhou Huntao, and the others were not professional basketball teams, so Luo Qijuan's team had the upper hand. Therefore, more girls were screaming Luo Qijuan's name. Mo Bufan naturally didn't care about this. After following the martial arts club led by Yun Jian, this kind of youthful mentality was no longer important to Mo Bufan. His state of mind had also become steady. Luo Qijuan, on the other hand, was extremely cocky. He glanced at the girls, wanting to see if there were any pretty girls, but his attention was drawn to Yun Jian, who was sitting alone on the lawn and had just taken the book off her head. Perhaps to show off his youthful masculinity, Luo Qijuan whistled and seemingly accidentally swatted the basketball away, sending it flying to Yun Jian. Beauty, I accidentally knocked the basketball away. Help me kick the basketball back. When the basketball was about to roll in front of Yun Jian, Luo Qijuan spoke. However, a scene that left everyone dumbfounded suddenly appeared. They saw Yun Jian standing up in front of everyone. She put her hands in her trouser pockets and kicked the basketball that was rolling towards her. Originally, it seemed like a light kick, but unexpectedly, the basketball flew up in a perfect arc. In an instant, it directly hit Luo Qijuan, who was trying to act cool, in the face not far away. Everyone exclaimed, but they saw Yun Jian glancing coldly at Luo Qijuan. She had already walked towards the basketball court and came in front of Mo Bufan and the others. In front of everyone, she said something to Luo Qijuan's team that made everyone stunned. 12-6. In the next half of the basketball game, the basketball team of Jiang City Media University, who is leading by 6 points, can forget about winning by 1 point. Chapter 2789. The basketball hit the bridge of Luo Qijuan's nose hard. The impact almost flattened his tall nose. The basketball rolled down from Luo Qijuan's face to the ground. Luo Qijuan howled and covered his nose. What's wrong with this girl? Qijuan, how are you? Luo Qijuan's basketball team members saw this and came over with concern. I'm fine. Luo Qijuan pushed away the male classmate who came up to him with concern and stared straight at Yun Jian. Oh my god, that girl is crazy. She did this to Qijuan for no reason. We should call the police and send her to the police station to rot in jail. Boo-hoo, I feel so sorry for Qijuan. A group of girls who admired Luo Qijuan stood aside and scolded Yun Jian. Each of their words was more unpleasant than the other. There were also girls from the University of Electronic Science and Technology of China who spoke up for Yunjian. What do you mean for no reason? That's the president of our school's martial arts club. If we don't help our school, do you think we should help your people? Come on, Yunjian. Get rid of those pretentious people from other schools who come to our school to play basketball. The girls' discussion was like a flock of sparrows clucking their tongues endlessly. There was no moment when it would stop or end. At this time, Luo Qijuan had already wiped his red nose that was hit by the basketball. His eyes were fixed on Yunjian, who was standing in front of the members of the martial arts club. After a while, he said something that he thought was very handsome in a tone that was enough to make the girls around him scream. "Oh, woman, you've successfully attracted my attention." As soon as he said this, the basketball that hit Luo Qijuan's nose and rolled to Yunjian's side was tapped lightly by her. In front of everyone, from a distance of 30 meters, she threw it into the basketball hoop without even looking at it. This was not a formal basketball game. To put it bluntly, it was just a friendly game between the two schools. So as long as the ball was dug into the basketball hoop, it would count as a point. With a bang, the basketball went into the hoop. Yunjian had once thrown a basketball from 30 meters away when she was in Longmen No. 1 middle school. It had been 6 or 7 years since then. After such a long time, it reappeared once more. Be that as it may, it was a simple move for Yunjian that shocked the audience. Luo Qijuan had just finished speaking when he saw Yunjian's shocking action. He rubbed his eyes in disbelief. "Qijuan, that girl. That girl stood so far away and threw the basketball into the basketball hoop, I'm afraid she's an expert." A boy on Luo Qijuan's side raised his thick and rough voice and said in a daze. "Step aside," Luo Qijuan said. At the same time, he rolled up his sleeves, as if this place was about to become a battlefield between him and Yunjian. It was as if this place was going to be a showdown between him and Yunjian. Everyone else was just supporting characters for him and Yunjian, and he and Yunjian were going to be defeated by him in this match. The feeling that Yunjian would even change her attitude towards him was very obvious. Of course, this was Luo Qijuan's own thoughts. Just as he rolled up his sleeves and was about to put on a show, the basketball that Yunjian dug into the basketball hoop was suddenly thrown towards Yunjian at the speed of light and lightning. That speed was comparable to when Yunjian hit Luo Qijuan. Luo Qijuan, as well as everyone present, was shocked. Their first reaction was that Yunjian was going to be hit by the basketball like Luo Qijuan. After all, who could withstand such a fast speed? What no one expected, however, was that Yunjian dodged to the side 3 seconds before the basketball was about to hit her. At the same time, she lifted her leg at a 180 degrees angle and kicked the basketball back to where it came from with a force stronger than the inertia of the basketball. The person who threw the basketball at Yunjian was a girl in a short-sleeved shirt and shorts. When the girl saw that the basketball was kicked back by Yunjian, she flipped and barely dodged the ball in front of everyone. The girl was none other than Qingyu. The speed at which Yunjian and Qingyu dodged the basketball was not something a normal person could do. This scene shocked all the people around them to the point that they were stunned on the spot. Even Luo Qijuan's gaze had changed from his terrified expression. It was then that Qingyu took 2 big strides toward Yunjian. While the crowd was horrified that the 2 girls were so agile, she told Yunjian something that shocked everyone. "Ha! Sister Jian. We haven't competed in a basketball game for a long time. Wanna play? If I win, bring me to Country M's biggest red wine exhibition next month and steal the world's most expensive red wine for me to drink. Chapter 2790. Putting aside the fact that Yunjian and Qingyu, who had appeared out of nowhere, possessed such frightening capabilities. Just the words that came out of Qin Yu's mouth. What did she mean by bringing her to steal the world's most expensive red wine from Country M's biggest red wine exhibition if they won? Moreover, the words that came out of Qin Yu's mouth made it sound like something that could not be any simpler. There's indeed a red wine exhibition in Country M next month, and it's called the world's biggest red wine exhibition. Many news reports have reported this beforehand, and it's considered the most sensational event in recent times. But the red wine exhibition next month will be attended by all the international tycoons. Even an insignificant fly won't be able to sneak in, let alone two girls like you. How is it possible? Luo Qijuan had forgotten about the basketball match that was going on midway. He looked at Yun Jian and Qin Yu in a daze, his mouth agape when he heard what Qin Yu said. Luo Qijuan's words made sense. Of course, the international tycoons will attend the event themselves. Ordinary citizens like us don't even have the right to see the market. Just as Luo Qijuan finished, a girl who looked elegant and dignified walked out from the group of girls. As the young girl spoke, she was already standing beside Luo Qijuan. Of course, you guys are the same. You're just ordinary university students. The girl purposely reminded Yun Jian and Qing Yu's identities when she came to Luo Qijuan's side. Zhu, don't make it sound so bad. When Luo Qijuan saw the girl, displeasure that was hard to detect flashed across his face. The girl who was called Zhu was displeased when she heard that. Then, Zhu seemed to have recalled something as she put on a smug expression and looked at Luo Qijuan, speaking in an exaggerated tone. I would have forgotten if you didn't mention it. 8 years ago, Qijuan, wasn't Uncle invited to the world-shaking wine tasting conference? That global wine tasting conference can't be compared to the world's biggest red wine exhibition this time. It was known as the first wine appraisal conference in history. Not only did the big shots of the righteous path come, but it was also said that the underworld, underground secret agents, assassins, and so on were all present. Uncle, you were invited to participate in it openly. There's no need for you to sneak in. As she spoke, Zhu glanced at Yun Jian and Qin Yu. Her last sentence was directed at Yun Jian and Qin Yu. In the wine tasting conference 8 years ago, all the best and most expensive wines in the world were present. As for why it was called the first wine tasting conference in history, it was not only because the wine was the best and most expensive wine in history, but also because at the end, a big shot of unknown origin had spent a total of 5 billion RMB to buy all the wine, one by one, at a high price. Chapter 2791. Yun Jian had indeed participated in the wine tasting conference 8 years ago. She had even spent 5 billion to buy all the good wines in the wine tasting conference. People from all over the world had been speculating who could be such a generous person during that period of time. It had even become an international story that had piqued people's interest. Zhu had wanted to use Luo Qijuan's father's honor to have participated in the wine tasting conference to show off, but she had not expected this. How is this possible? Father once said that in the auction house of the wine tasting conference that day, as long as someone bid, he would raise the price to the highest level, even to the point that others couldn't afford it. The person who bought all the wine in the end was a man who was at least 1.9 meters tall and covered his entire body, including his face. How could it be her who bought it? She's only a student from the University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. At the very least, she's only the president of a martial arts club. This doesn't fit at all. Luo Qijuan's eyes widened as he looked at Mo Bufan with a crazed expression, as if he wanted Mo Bufan to expose Qin Yu's lie. However, what Luo Qijuan saw was Mo Bufan shrugging his shoulders at Luo Qijuan. He looked to the side and said a sentence full of philosophy that people could not understand: anything is possible. Such an impractical thing is just like how modern people can travel back in time to change history. It's impossible. Chi-Juan, don't be fooled. Zhu spoke up unhappily when she saw that the school hunk Luo Chi-Juan, who had always been cold and aloof, her childhood sweetheart who grew up with her from an aristocratic family, was saying so much because of a woman. The year 2005 was a changing era. It was the era when country Z's economy was developing rapidly. The film industry was also on the right track due to country Z's improved economic conditions. Every household could almost install a TV. Transmigration TV was popular in this era, and there was a popular one not too long ago. Therefore, Zhu could not help but use this as a comparison. Luo Chi-Juan rubbed his forehead. Although he didn't really like Zhu, he still felt that her words made sense. Therefore, when he came back to his senses, Luo Chi-Juan looked at Yun Jian and saw that the girls around him were looking at him. Although he wouldn't take a fancy to those girls, a young man like Luo Chi-Juan couldn't wait for more girls to like him so that he could show off his charm. After flipping his short hair coolly, Luo Chi-Juan spoke to Yun Jian and Qing Yu in a serious and bossy CEO tone. Little girls at your age haven't seen much of the world. You'll suffer a lot when you go out in the future. As he spoke, he raised his hand and glanced at the watch on his right hand. Then, he stared at Yun Jian and continued. I don't have time to play basketball with you. Another day. Beauty, give me your phone number. Let's keep in touch. As he spoke, he even reached out his hand, as if he wanted Yun Jian to give him her number, just like how young men and women would do when they met each other, or when they didn't have their notebooks with them. Qing Yu clicked her tongue, almost bursting out in laughter. Yun Jian remained unmoved with a nonchalant expression. Just as Luo Chi-Juan was about to use another method, coming. Qing Yu suddenly extended her arm and waved to the side. Right, Sister Jian, I'm not actually here to play basketball with you today. I'm here with someone to look for you. Qing Yu turned to explain to Yun Jian before standing aside. He saw a burly man with a height of 1.9 meters, who was wrapped tightly from head to toe, walking over. He was tall, but his gait was as nimble as a leopard's. The newcomer was none other than Tiger Bao, who stood side by side with Snake Lizard from the Kosha mercenaries. When Tiger Bao arrived, he greeted Yun Jian respectfully in front of everyone, Sister Jian. This was not a strange thing. However, just as everyone was wondering who this burly man who covered himself up was, the burly man who was standing in front of them suddenly changed his appearance. Luo Chi-Juan's eyes widened as he shuddered. Looking at Tiger Bao, his hand met Tiger Bao's like a spring, and he exclaimed at him in front of everyone who was watching the show. Look at you. The man who bought all the wine at a high price at the wine tasting event 8 years ago that I mentioned to my dad is exactly the same. My dad even showed me a photo of him at the auction. You're the tycoon who rocked the world 8 years ago. Chapter 2792. Tiger. Leopard, who was fully clothed, thought that Luo Chi-Juan was Yun Jian's friend when he heard what Luo Chi-Juan said after he spoke to Yun Jian. The 1.9 tall man originally looked tall and strong. Although they couldn't see Tiger Leopard's face, just by looking at the pair of black eyes that were exposed outside, the hearts of the people around him trembled. In their hearts, they thought that Tiger Leopard was an incomparably cold person. Who knew that Tiger Leopard would turn around and pull down the black cloth that covered his face, revealing only his eyes, to grin at Luo Chi-Juan that made the latter take 2 steps back. It was also a direct admission that he was the tycoon who had shaken the world 8 years ago that Luo Chi-Juan had mentioned. Just as Luo Chi-Juan, Zhu who stood beside him, and everyone else who suspected Yun Jian were mesmerized by the scene, Luo Chi-Juan and Zhu who stood beside him were stunned by the scene. Yunjian suddenly went to Tiger. Leopard, who had been turned from shock to adoration by everyone. Standing on her tiptoes, she grabbed the back of Tiger. Leopard's collar and kicked Xingyu, who had been silent on the side, before dragging Tiger. Leopard to the school gate. What's the matter? Yunjian asked as they walked. She had planned to participate in the last few days of campus life by playing basketball. However, it was obvious that Luo Qijuan and the rest were unwilling to continue. Sister Jian, let go of me first. Tiger. Leopard spoke in a respectful tone to his superior after being dragged by Yunjian. Yunjian let go right away. Luo Qijuan, Zhu, and the rest who were standing at the back were stunned again when they saw what happened. So the tycoon who had shaken the world back then was someone else. Luo Qijuan's eyes were wider than a dead fish's. He was stupefied. And this person is the president of your Martial Arts Society at River City University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. Luo Qijuan exclaimed in a hoarse voice. When everyone looked up, however, Tiger, Leopard and Qingyu were already following behind Yunjian. The trio's silhouettes flashed past everyone's eyes like a beautiful scene. When they looked up again, they were nowhere to be found. Kosha mercenaries. There was a reason why Tiger, Leopard and Qingyu had come to Yunjian personally. Just as Yunjian returned to Kosha mercenaries, she saw Su Zetian, who was managing Falcon Hall for her, sitting there. Seeing Yunjian enter, all the higher-ups of Kosha mercenaries and Su Zetian stood up and nodded at Yunjian. Sister Jian. Did you see the strategy one gave you earlier? Yunjian did not beat around the bush. She walked to the highest point of the table and pulled out a stool to sit down, going straight to the point. Yeah, I did. I agree with the idea of relocating Falcon Hall overseas. It's just that Falcon Hall's influence is now spread across country. Except for Zhe province that is under our direct jurisdiction, the other provinces have their own managers. In fact, many district managers are already thinking of breaking away from Falcon Hall and becoming the head of their own faction with their subordinates. If they don't agree to relocate all of Falcon Hall's forces overseas, I'm afraid they'll use this opportunity to strike back at us. Falcon Hall's influence was spread across the country now, but each province had its own manager. Zhe province was the headquarters, so it was under Yunjian and Su Zetian's direct jurisdiction. As for the managers of other places, they had made friends with a bunch of their own people and were already thinking of stripping Falcon Hall of their own. Relocating overseas was not as simple as it seemed. Everyone knew that Yunjian had been to the future world. Country Z's future could not tolerate the existence of gangs. Falcon Hall's best choice now was to relocate overseas in the next few years. However, this was a huge project. Not everyone would listen to Yunjian or Su Zetian. Not everyone was as loyal to Yunjian as Su Zetian was. Although the group of old men did not say anything, they had never been convinced that it was a gang founded by a woman. While Su Zetian was frowning with a troubled expression, Yunjian's nonchalant and lethal words rang in the air, laced with a thick murderous intent. No one can change the decision that I, Yunjian, have made. Those who don't cooperate with Falcon Hall's subordinates in other provinces will be kicked out of Falcon Hall. Managers, kill those who start trouble. Annihilate those who set up gangs on their own. Leave no one alive. Chapter 2793. Yunjian's words were like an order that could not be disobeyed, ringing out majestically and sending chills down the spine. Hearing that, Su Zetian, who still had a lot of concerns, felt his blood boil again as he answered with the same words. Yes. Kosha mercenaries usually did not interfere with Falcon Hall's affairs. Of course, if Falcon Hall had reached a point where it could not be controlled, Kosha mercenaries would step in depending on the situation. After receiving the order, Su Zetian returned to Country Z first, planning to inform the managers of all provinces about Falcon Hall's overseas relocation as soon as he could. At that time, it would be clear which managers would stand on his side and which managers would want to lead their brothers and set up their own businesses. Of course, this matter could not be left to Su Zetian. It was just that Su Zetian had to be the one to start it. Sister Jian, you've been to the future world. Does that mean Falcon Hall in the future world? Qin Yu propped her chin adorably and asked Yun Jian after Su Zetian left. Yun Jian from the future world had died in 2016, dying together with a mysterious person. Now that history had changed, Yun Jian would not die in the future. However, Yun Jian from the future had died. Falcon Hall then no longer had Yun Jian as its backer. The consequences were indescribable. Yun Jian nodded. After a pause, she looked up at Qin Yu and continued, in 2017, the last group of Falcon Hall members were disbanded. No gangs are allowed to exist in Country Z in the future. Falcon Hall was Su Zetian's hope for the rest of his life. Without Falcon Hall, Su Zetian had no future. In addition, he was arrested and imprisoned. In early 2018, he lost all hope in life and committed suicide in prison. This was Falcon Hall and Su Zetian's future. She, on the other hand, was going to defy the heavens. Just as Yun Jian left Kosha mercenaries, she saw Ce. Not only did she see Ce, she saw the girl and the child as well. The girls were still young but they had already learned how to walk. Ce had a hand in his pocket as he looked at Yun Jian dotingly. The little girl and the little fellow were both standing on the ground. He didn't know what they were playing, but their laughter was crisp and carried a hint of happiness. Just like that, Ce let the little girl and the little guy run back and forth, shuddering and giggling, ignoring them. His dark eyes were fixed on Yun Jian. There was only Yun Jian in his eyes. He strode over to Yun Jian's hand and pulled her toward an ordinary street in Country M. The girls had just learned how to walk. When they saw Yun Jian and Ce walking toward the street, the two little cuties were like butterflies dancing around Yun Jian and Ce. They were extremely happy. When they reached the downtown area, the girl was tired from playing. She walked over and grabbed Yun Jian's finger. She looked at the passers-by in a daze and even shrank towards Yun Jian, looking a little scared. The child was different. He rushed to a snack shop and shouted, "Eat, eat," wanting to rush in. Ce grabbed him roughly. The child was unhappy. As he walked forward, he deliberately stopped in front of Ce and pointed at the snack shop, not letting Ce go forward. He shouted, "I want to eat, I want to eat, I want to eat, I want to eat." Ce was like a human trafficker. He kicked the child lightly and walked forward. However, his hand was still holding Yun Jian's little hand. Just as the two of them walked through two streets with the two children, two policemen in Country M's uniforms suddenly appeared in front of them. The two policemen looked at each other and then stopped Ce. They glanced at the child's ugly face, as if he had been abused by Ce. They spoke to Ce smoothly in English. "Hello, we are from the nearby police station. We just received a report from passers-by that you are suspected of kidnapping children. Please come with us." Calm. Wonderful Book House. Chapter 2794. Ce lowered his head slightly and kissed Yun Jian's rosy lips, who was lying on his lap in front of everyone. He even, oh my God. He's so unrestrained. A group of foreign men who passed by from afar and merely took a few more glances at Yun Jian because they were attracted by her beauty exclaimed in surprise and turned to leave as if they were fleeing for their lives. Ce's hand was now placed on Yun Jian's ample bosom through her clothes. He was doing something unspeakable. Yun Jian only opened her eyes after lying on the beach for more than an hour under the setting sun. The two little guys were already fast asleep on her lap. In the end, Yun Jian and Ce each carried one of them and brought the Kosha mercenaries back. That night, the little fellow and the little girl slept soundly. Even their snores were loud enough to shake the heavens. It was obvious that they were really tired. And Hun Group. Shuang had just returned to his and Si Luo's cozy little home after a busy day. He searched the house but could not find Si Luo. Si Luo was 5 to 6 months pregnant and the baby bump was already showing. Shui Ying's first reaction when he could not see Si Luo was to dash to Mo Sen and grab him by the collar. Mo Sen, where did your wife take my woman? Shuang clenched his fist slightly as he spoke, looking like he was really going to pick a fight with Mo Sr. Cough. They went to the young mistress' house first. It's Country Z's festival today, the Dragon Boat Festival. They said they're gathering to eat dumplings and asked us to go with them later. Mo Sen pushed Shuang away and walked out after straightening his collar. As An Hun Group had their own private helicopter, it was very convenient to travel from An Hun Group to Zhe Province's Longmen City. It was already night when Mo Sen and Shuang arrived at Longmen City. Just as they opened the door to Yun Jian's villa, they were greeted by a lively crowd. Si Luo, whom Shuang had been thinking about, was sitting on a bench in the living room, helping Qin Yiro wrap dumplings. Although the dumplings didn't look good and didn't look delicious, in general, it was very good that a newbie could wrap the dumplings like this. Seeing this, Shui Ying's heart warmed, and he walked over as well. Before this, Si Luo had ignored him for a long time. Si Luo wanted to know how he got the scar on his neck. Shuang refused to say anything. Si Luo was a little angry. She wanted to hug Si Luo from behind, but she did not expect Si Luo to sense Shuang. She turned around and saw Shuang trying to hug her secretly. She was so angry that she pouted. Her hand was still stuck with the rice used to make dumplings. She stood to the side and avoided Shuang. She said that you bullied her. Shuang, let me tell you, Luo is my best friend. If you bully her, I will fight you to the death. Luo Mei sat at the side. Chapter 2795. Hearing Adam's words, Shui Ying's eyes darkened. No, sister-in-law asked you, so just tell her. What's there to hide? This woman just wants to hear the truth from you. She doesn't care about what you've been through in the past. What's there to hide? Face or wife, which is more important? Adam thought that Shuang was unwilling to tell because he was hurt and embarrassed, so he tried to persuade him. In fact, Adam also wanted to know how Shuang got his scar. After all, this scar directly reduced Shui Ying's handsomeness. Originally, in terms of appearance, Shuang was much better than the other 3 leaders of the An-Hun organization. Shuang frowned. Just as he was about to reject Adam's words, he suddenly saw Si Luo, who had run away just now, walk back. Si Luo was looking in Shui Ying's direction, her beautiful eyes sparkling as if she wanted to hear Shui Ying's answer. Shui Ying's face darkened, and he decided not to say anything. Si Luo pursed her lips. Seeing Shui Ying's reaction, she walked away again. Shuang wanted to go forward, but Adam stopped him. All right, don't go. She'll be angrier if you go. Half an hour later. Everyone who was supposed to be here was here. The 4 leaders of the An-Hun organization were all present. No one knew what had gotten into Adam as he tugged at Mo Sen and took the lead to talk about the past between him and Mo Sen before they got together. Mo Sen and I used to have the surname Zhou. We didn't have parents since we were young, so we wandered many places. In order to survive, Mo Sen even fought with homeless people for leftovers in the trash. But he was too young, so he was no match for homeless people in their 20s or 30s. Mo Sen was often beaten until his head bled, and he always hid his wounds from me. After I found out, I made a blood oath that I would never call him Brother Mo Sen again. I wanted to be his brother and protect him. This was why Adam and Mo Sen were biological brothers, but they never called him brother. Adam's rambling was like a heavenly flower, but Snow Eagle, who was listening by the side, remained silent. Shuang naturally had his reasons for not saying anything. Everyone had their own past. Later on, we were taken in by the young master. Lin Wei, what about you? What did you do before you met the young master? Adam finished talking about his past and turned to look at Lin Wei. Under everyone's gaze, Lin Wei did not hide anything. He used his usual simple words to describe his past. My entire family was killed. Revenge. Lin Wei used to be his parents' treasure, but one day, his entire family was killed for no reason. Since Lin Wei and his sister were not at home, they managed to escape. However, when they got home, his sister found that something was wrong at home. She hid him downstairs and told him not to make a sound if he saw anything. Then, she rushed upstairs. Chapter 2796. There were similarities and differences between Shuang and Si Luo's experiences. When Si Luo's father abused her in front of her and beat her mother to death, she was so angry that she accidentally stabbed her own father to death. Shui Ying's family didn't do anything and even treated Shuang well. However, Shui Ying's family offended a powerful force. That powerful force captured Shui Ying's entire family and gave Shuang, who wasn't even 5 years old, 2 choices. 1. He could destroy his own family with his own hands and let them live. 2. That group of people would kill everyone in his family, including him, on the spot. A child who wasn't even 5 years old not only understood what this meant, but also chose the former decisively and killed everyone in his family. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't ruthless. Although Shuang killed all those people who let the tiger return to the mountain. Although Shui Ying's strength wasn't the strongest among the 4 leaders of Enhan, his ruthlessness was the cream of the crop. It was because of this that CE allowed Shuang to use Enhan's identity to negotiate with other organizations and people on the international stage. When it was time to be ruthless, he would be more ruthless than anyone else. When something happened, he would slip away faster than anyone else. Although this was not the behavior of a person with moral character, it was indeed the basic behavior that a person who mingled in this circle should follow. Hey, young master, did you know about Shui Ying's background long ago? No wonder you didn't let me replace Shui Ying when I wanted to. Adam put his arm around Shui Ying's shoulders and shook his legs as he looked at CE with a roguish expression. You can try. Shui Ying will give you his position. CE stood at the side. His newly trimmed black hair was unusually bright under the light in the room. Under his handsome face, his lips were especially eye-catching. No. No, no, no. I don't want it. Even if you send me to Africa, the Hazara Desert, or the Amazon, I don't want Shui Ying's position. What a joke. When I replace Enhan, I'll be chased 9 out of 10 times when I go to the washroom. I don't want this kind of life. Adam waved his hand at CE as if he had heard something that made people cower from the bottom of their hearts. What a joke, he wasn't looking for death. Shui Ying's job was to represent Enhan in the underworld. When people couldn't find CE, 3 of the 4 leaders of Enhan would naturally target Shuang. Shui Ying's ability to escape was much better than Adam's. After all, he was experienced after so many years of escaping from unknown assassinations. Adam didn't experience that. He didn't even have the chance to pee in the washroom before he was done. Cough, how did you know that Shuang was running while peeing? Immerse put his fish to his mouth and coughed dryly. How of him didn't know that Shuang had had such a scandal? Bro, he told me. There was one time when he almost had his manhood cut off while he was peeing. Luckily, it was only a small cut. TSK. Adam didn't notice Shui Ying's murderous gaze as he continued. Yun Jian, Luo Mei, Leng Mei, Qin Yiru, Gu Xian, Yun Yi, and the rest didn't hear what was said. But the worst thing was that Adam was afraid that things wouldn't get out of hand, so he suddenly raised his voice. In the next second, everyone in the room heard Adam's loud voice talking about Shuang. Chapter 2797. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. Before he could finish his sentence, Shui Ying's hand formed into an eagle's claw and attacked Adam. That speed almost made Adam's head get hit by Shui Ying's claw, and he would be the first one of the 4 leaders of Enrich to be killed. Luckily, Adam dodged to the side and avoided Shui Ying's claw. Luckily, Shuang didn't really want Adam's life. Adam grabbed Shui Ying's wrist and didn't let Shuang get close to him. At the same time, he cursed, "Damn, what are you doing? Are you trying to kill me? We're from the same roots, why are you in such a hurry to kill each other? We've already slept together so many times, and we've even seen each other naked so many times. If I was killed by your claw just now, you'd feel so guilty." As soon as he said this, everyone who was looking over couldn't help but cough dryly and look away. Adam's words didn't explain his relationship with Snow Eagle. Instead, it made his relationship with Snow Eagle even more passionate. Everyone knew that among the 4 leaders of Enrich, Lin Wei and Immerse had similar personalities, so they had a good relationship. Adam and Shuang had similar personalities, so they had a good relationship too. But they didn't expect their relationship to be exposed to this extent. Compared to feeling guilty, I'd rather you die right now. Shui Ying's face was green as he said to Adam half-jokingly. Adam was still holding on to Shui Ying's wrist, so it was as if their hands were still tightly clasped together. Lan Su, who was standing at the side, rubbed her forehead helplessly. Si Luo was dumbfounded. She looked at Shuang, then at Adam. Was she disturbing them by being here? What an exciting show! TSK, one of the 4 leaders of Enrich, Adam, and Shuang were gay before, tisk. Leng Mei had taken a dumpling from the kitchen and was eating it as she stood beside Yun Jian. She seemed to have made a big discovery. Damn, this woman, what are you talking about? Do you believe I won't twist your head off? Adam immediately glared at Leng Mei when he heard that. Sister Jian, I'm on your side. This person who's not with us said he's going to twist my head off. You're the one who's at a loss, Sister Jian. Leng Mei hugged Yun Jian's arm abruptly and rubbed her ample bosom against Yun Jian, whining. This was the reason why she walked to Yun Jian's side. Adam was Ciyi's subordinate, so Yun Jian would definitely protect her. You want to work under me in her place? Hearing Leng Mei's words, Yun Jian only calmly looked at Adam. To be honest, when Adam worked under Ciyi, the most he would do was to stay by Ciyi's side and help Ciyi with some trivial matters. He didn't have anything important to do. Yun Jian's words were clearly telling Adam that if he dared to touch Leng Mei, he would have to bear the consequences in the future. No, young madam, I was just joking. Just kidding. Adam quickly waved his hands. She thought that Yun Jian would avert her gaze and let it go like she did in the past. Who knew that Yun Jian would stare at him like she would not stop until he gave her an explanation? Adam could clearly feel that the young master he feared the most was slowly shifting her gaze to him. He wiped away his sweat. To divert Yun Jian's attention, Adam had successfully betrayed his best buddy and revealed the shocking news loudly. Cough, cough. Young Madam Shuang and I aren't the only ones who were gay. From the time we joined in Hun until 2 years ago, Lin Wei and Immerse slept in the same room every time they met. They even took a bath together every day, the kind where they bathed each other. Translator, Henyi Translations Editor, Henyi Translations. Chapter 2798. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. Yunjian's eyes flickered when she heard that. Her lips that were flat and indifferent curled up as if she had heard some interesting tidbit. Adam had betrayed his brother and successfully avoided the punishment that the young master was about to pass on to him. Offending the young madam was the same as offending the young master. If one were to ask Adam what he was afraid of, it would probably be offending Yunjian. Seeing that the punishment on Siyi's face had gradually faded, Adam didn't even have time to relax before he saw Immerse and Lin Wei glaring fiercely at him. Their gazes were as though Adam had suddenly exposed a secret that had been hidden for many years. It was as though a river beast had met a living person and wanted to tear him apart. Especially Lin Wei's ability. He was the strongest among the 4 leaders of the Dark Soul organization. Cough. Brother, I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't promise you guys to keep this a secret. I see that the weather outside is pretty good. I'll go out and bask in the sun. Adam said, waving his hand. At this moment, the sky was dry and the ground was dry. The night was lonely and the sun was nowhere to be seen. After Adam slipped out, Lin Wei glanced at everyone and immediately chased after him without saying a word. Shuang shouted at Adam, who had just rushed out of the door, "Don't run if you have the guts." Then, he chased after him. Lin Wei and Shuang chased after Adam and soon disappeared from everyone's sight. Immerse didn't chase after them and didn't care about Adam. He stood on the spot and didn't make a sound. Until he caught a glimpse of Luo Berry lowering her head slightly and walking towards the rooftop of the villa unsociably when no one was looking. Immerse didn't care about Adam's situation and chased after Luo Berry. Luo Berry and Immerse's relationship stopped at the kiss that Immerse had kissed her. Since then, there had been no further progress. Although Luo Berry had been following Immerse as though she had received orders from her family to stay by Immerse's side and not go back, Immerse didn't do anything to her. Other than the kiss that day, the two of them still did not directly expose this layer of their relationship. Above friends, but not yet lovers. This was referring to Lockberry and Mawson. Immerse followed Rockberry to the rooftop. As soon as Luo Berry arrived, he dialed a number with trembling hands. "Hey! Dad, is that you, Dad? Dad, tell Grandpa that I don't want to stay here anymore. I want to go back." "Why?" "He won't like me, and I won't accept this kind of love that is obtained by using others. Besides, he already has someone he likes. Dad, I beg you to beg Grandpa to let me go home. I want to go back to school. I don't want to be here anymore." Rockberry spoke to the other end of the phone in an almost pleading tone. When the head of the Luo family, Luo Berry's grandfather, found out about Immerse's identity, he wanted to make use of Immerse's feelings for Luo Berry. He wanted Luo Berry to follow Immerse and benefit from him. It would be best if Immerse could marry Luo Berry. Without waiting for his father to speak, Luo Berry continued, And he already has someone he likes. Yes, it's a man. He doesn't like and won't like women. As soon as he finished speaking, before Luo Berry could finish, his phone was suddenly snatched from the air. With a beep, the call was hung up by Mawson. In the next second, Luo Berry's phone was smashed into pieces not far away by Mawson. Who said that a mature and steady person could be mature and steady for a lifetime? Some people could become murderers if they were forced into a corner for a lifetime. When Mawson heard that Luo Berry was leaving, he panicked. As expected of Adam's biological brother, even if their personalities were different, the things they did when they were anxious were somewhat similar. After he smashed Luo Berry's phone, his first reaction was to press Luo Berry on the dark rooftop and tear off his short skirt and pants. Then, he unbuckled his belt. After wearing his top and being intimate, he did not do anything else. Instead, he caressed her delicate cheeks, his eyes shining with possessiveness. "Where are you going?" "Who said that I like men? Why don't you give it a try and see if I like men?" Translator, King Bao. Editor, King Bao. Chapter 2799. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation. Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. The old man nodded when he heard Li Nong's words. Just like how he used to ask those disciples who were chasing after love, he spoke earnestly. "Since you're so infatuated with the one you love, then, wait a minute, something was not right." When the old man said this, he stroked his long white beard and turned his gaze to Li Nong. After 2 seconds of silence, he seemed to have suddenly realized what Li Nong had just said. He spoke to Li Nong mechanically. "Bee butt is big and soft, and comfortable to touch. This is the reason why you're willing to give up your future to like that woman." Cough, 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 cough. He was old and could not understand the young man's thoughts. The old man coughed madly and waved at Li Nong. Go find that woman who has a big and soft butt that you like and that's comfortable to touch. In Yunjian's house." The group did not find it strange when Imo Sen and Luo Mei, who were upstairs, did not come down. They continued chatting. After Lang Mei and Lan Su helped Qin Yiru wash the dishes, everyone in the house sat in front of the TV after dinner to watch the Calabash Brothers that had been on repeat recently. Qin Yu sat at the front. Xiao Yunju, Duanli, Duanya, the little girl, and the little one were obedient. They sat behind Qin Yu obediently and watched the Calabash Brothers on the TV with wide eyes, enjoying themselves. Grandpa is being taken away." "Ah! Calabash Brothers, go save Grandpa. Quick!" When they reached the most exciting part, Zhou Yiran was like a mischievous child. He stood up from the foam mat excitedly and made 2 punching motions with his hands. It was very comical. TSK, so childish. Xiao Yunju was past the age of innocence and was about to enter puberty. Whether it was his height or his mentality, he had matured a lot. The group of children were enjoying the show. Be it Adam, Shuang, Lin Wei, or even Yunjian and Ce, they would not fight for the remote control. Just then, the door opened. A young man's domineering figure appeared in front of everyone. It was Li Nong. Li Nong glanced left and right before his gaze landed on Yunjian, Lord Witch Goddess. "Where's Gunyanji?" "She's at the garden in the nearby neighborhood. She's learning to dance." Lang Mei who answered Li Nong for Yunjian. Furthermore, when Lang Mei said these words, he even carried a gloating tone. After Li Nong heard this, he didn't think much and turned to leave. Yunjian was in Longman's Ons the villa. Was in translation in the Villa Forest. There was a large square near the community garden. People from the nearby communities would come here to take a stroll or exercise after dinner. It was a pleasant life. Speaking of the square, there was naturally square dancing. Li Nong had just arrived here and glanced around when he saw a group of aunties not far away. They were stretching their necks and stretching their arms, swaying left and right to perform the latest popular double square dance. On the other side, Gu Nianji had just finished her solo square dance with the group of aunties. Because she didn't have a partner, she lowered her head in disappointment. She felt a different gaze on her, so she looked up. The moment she saw Lee Nong, she was instantly energized. The next moment, she rushed in front of Lee Nong and grabbed his hand. Lee Nong was delighted to see that. Could it be that she liked him too? Just as the thought formed in his mind, Gu Nianji's next words shocked him. "You're just in time. Lang Mei and Qin Yu, those idiots, aren't willing to dance double square dance with me." "What do you mean it's embarrassing?" "Embarrassing my foot. Quick, come and dance double square dance with me on their behalf. I've been looking forward to it for a long time but I couldn't find a partner." Translator, Henyi Translations Editor, Henyi Translations. Chapter 2800. Couple Square Dance. Hearing Gu Nianji's words, Lee Nong's brows furrowed slightly, as if he was thinking about what square dancing was. "Oh my god, don't tell me you don't know how to dance." Gu Nianji covered her face with both hands and pretended to be shocked. "Like them?" Lee Nong's face darkened, but he still pointed at the aunties dancing next to them and asked. Gu Nianji shook her head up and down like a rattledrum. "I can learn it in a second, but the prerequisite is that you have to promise me something." Lee Nong threw out a very tempting bait. Hearing this, Gu Nianji's eyes lit up. "Really? Whatever it is, I'll agree to it. There's no one to dance with me, and people have been looking at me strangely for the past few days. I've had enough." If Lang Mei was here, she would definitely roll her eyes at her. People were looking at her strangely because she didn't have a partner. It was clearly because she was a young girl, mixing in with a group of aunties to do square dancing. That was why they were staring at her. Hearing this, Lee Nong smiled wickedly. The next second, he leaned over to Gu Nianji's ear and said something that made Gu Nianji instantly cup her cheeks and blush. You scoundrel." Gu Nianji stuttered for a long time before stuttering this sentence. "Then I'll be leaving." Lee Nong turned to leave, but the moment he turned, he curved his lips slightly, as if waiting for the fish on the hook to take the bait. Sure enough, Gu Nianji didn't even need to wait for Lee Nong to count to 3 in her heart. The moment she saw Lee Nong turn around, Gu Nianji admitted defeat. Okay. I agree. But let's make a deal. Only once." When Yun Jian and Ce took a walk to the neighborhood's park alone and saw Gu Nianji and Lee Nong, the two of them were half hugging each other and doing a square dance. If the dance was a little more exaggerated, they could probably fly into the sky with their arms around each other. A boar and a sow, Yun Jian had brought her mobile phone with her. In 2005, new mobile phones already had camera functions, but the pixels weren't clear. Yun Jian raised her phone and pointed it at Gu Nianji and Lee Nong, taking a complete picture of them. Yun Jian had just returned home when Mo Sen and Luo Berry came down from the rooftop. Mo Sen's expression was still normal, but Luo Berry's face was as red as a strawberry. The next day, Mo Sen invited Yun Jian as he said on the rooftop. He wanted Yun Jian to help him go to the Luo family to propose marriage to Luo Mei. The Luo household. Elder Luo smiled respectfully at Mo Senator because he knew Mo Sen's identity. Elder Luo's expression towards Mo Sen was extremely respectful. However, Mo Sen only brought a few expensive things and did not mention the matter of marriage. Luo Mei stood behind Old Master Luo with her hands clenched into fists. She looked nervous. What do you mean by sending the berries back?" Old Master Luo asked knowingly and stared at Mo Sen with a smile on his face. He seemed to be waiting for Mo Sen to speak first. "Speak for yourself." Yun Jian smiled wickedly. After hearing old Master Luo's words, she walked past Imo Sen and left the house. He had invited Yun Jian here to let Yun Jian speak for him. Seeing that Yun Jian had actually left, Imo Sen's expression froze. After all, he had never proposed marriage before. How should he say this? In the next second, Imo Sen did not hesitate. The moment Yun Jian was about to step out of the Luo family's house, he suddenly pointed at Luo Berry and said to old Master Luo what everyone in the Luo family wanted to say. Sell her to me. You can name the price. Calm. Wonderful book house. Chapter 2801. After saying this, Imo Sen always felt that what he said was weird. But he only knew what marriage proposal was, and he had never proposed marriage before. He had never even seen anyone propose marriage before. Naturally, he didn't know what to say or do. As soon as she walked to the gate, Yun Jian, who was about to leave, suddenly stopped. How was this a marriage proposal? Strictly speaking, it was more like an open transaction of human trafficking. It was like a human trafficker. After hearing Imo Sen's words, the people of the Luo clan were stunned. Then, their faces revealed an awkward expression. Our Luo family is also a famous family. Naturally, we won't sell our daughter for glory. What old Master Luo wanted was naturally not Imo Sen's money. The Luo family was also one of the top wealthy families. Of course, they were not short of money. But Imo Sen's status in the world was something that could only be found by chance. If old Master Luo wanted to climb up this branch, it was equivalent to having the strongest backing. But he still wanted to save face, so when old Master Luo said this, he winked at Imo Sen, as if telling Imo Sen that he should propose marriage in a normal way. How could Imo Sen propose marriage in a normal way? After hearing old Master Luo's words, he thought that old Master Luo would not agree. His face instantly darkened. Imo Sen looked at old Master Luo. Just when everyone in the Luo family thought that Imo Sen should know what old Master Luo meant. He suddenly stepped forward, jumped over old Master Luo, grabbed Luo Mei's hand, and looked sideways at old Master Luo. So you mean, you don't agree? Old Master Luo thought that Imo Sen deliberately said the wrong thing. But seeing Imo Sen's appearance, he instinctively understood that Imo Sen just wanted to spend money to buy Luo Mei, and then cut off all ties with the Luo family. Even buying Luo Mei just wanted her, and was not willing to give Luo Mei a status. This world was very realistic. No matter how rich and powerful you were, as long as it could not bring you benefits, then it was nothing to you. Old Master Luo's face drooped at this moment. To the Luo family, the Luo berry was indeed just a tool to build a good relationship with Imo Senior. Our Luo family is also a noble family with dignity. We will definitely not allow Berry to suffer. Elder Luo displayed a very firm attitude. In fact, old Master Luo thought that Imo Sen refused to give Luo Berry a status and even wanted Luo Berry to be his mistress. Then the Luo clan would really not be able to climb up to such a high branch. All of Luo Qian's efforts to force Luo Qian to stay by Imo Sen's side had been in vain. Especially after being with Imo Sen for so long, if Lubi was abandoned again, her reputation as a girl would be ruined, and she would not be able to marry into a good family in the future. Seeing that Imo Sen's hand was tightly wrapped around the Luo berry, Grandpa Luo knew that Imo Sen had to get the Luo berry now. Grandpa Luo mistakenly thought that Imo Sen did not want to give Luo berry a status, so in order to make Imo Sen change his mind, he provoked Imo Sen by saying, "My berry grew up under my protection. She will not be anyone's mistress." After that, Grandpa Luo paused, looked at Luo Berry, and continued, "Berry, do you remember Lin Juanhao from the Lin group who played with you when you were young? Your brother Lin Juanhao is doing well now, and he is also handsome. Your brother Lin Jiahao mentioned you 2 days ago. Go and meet him tomorrow. If you have a good impression of each other, Grandpa will make the decision for you." When these words fell, the surrounding people all sucked in a breath of air because the expression on Mo Sen's face had already changed from a friendly one to a murderous one. If the Luo family were not Luo Berry's relatives, they would have been killed by Mo Sen long ago. How could he have the temper to talk to them? Just when Old Master Luo and everyone in the Luo family thought that Mo Sen would take a step back for Luo Berry, Mo Sen held Luo Berry's hand tightly and said something that shocked everyone present. Chapter 2802. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. Yun Jian was sure that this was her first time hearing Mo Sen speak so crudely after knowing his character. The Luo family fell silent after hearing Mo Sen's words. Luo Mei was so embarrassed that she wished she could find a crack to hide in and never see anyone again. Both parties were caught in an awkward atmosphere. It was then that Yun Jian turned around to resolve the awkwardness. "These are Mo Sen's betrothal gifts to the Luo family's daughter, Luo Mei." Glancing at the expensive items brought by Mo Sen, Yun Jian said simply. This sentence finally calmed down the surrounding atmosphere. Old Master Luo's eyes bulged and he coughed dryly in the next second, as if trying to ease the awkwardness. So, Mo Sen was here to propose marriage today. He even thought that the Luo family was unwilling to marry Luo Mei to him because of what he said. Cough, cough. Well. As long as Luo Mei agrees, I have no objections. Old Master Luo regretted what he said, but since he had already said it, he could only pretend that he did not say anything. Old Master Luo winked at Luo Mei from the corner of his eyes. It was like he was warning Luo Mei that she could forget about staying in this family if she did not agree to Mo Sen's proposal. Luo Mei hung her head low because of what Mo Sen said, as if she was shy. From the looks of it, it was obvious that Luo Berry was willing. Star City Junior High School. Star City Junior High School was Baoding City's junior high school. Baoding City was very close to Longmen City. If Xinjiang Town was under Longmen City's jurisdiction, then Longmen City was under Baoding City's jurisdiction. Moreover, Baoding City Star City Junior High School was famous in the entire Zhe province for having an endless supply of top students. It was a high school that countless parents would do anything to send their children to. Class 2, 9. Yun Zhu was sitting in his seat. He was almost 15 years old, but he had already grown into a handsome and well-defined face. At 14, he was already 1.78 meters tall. His childish face had faded away and he was even more reticent now compared to when he was young. This was probably the normal mentality of adolescent males. Yunju, Yunju, your wife was slapped by someone. She's standing at the door of class 1. Just then, two boys of the same age as Yunju rushed into the classroom with their arms around each other's shoulders. They were grinning mischievously, as if they were here to watch a show. What wife? Like I said, Duanli from the first class is only staying at Yunju's house. She was adopted by Yunju's mother when she was young. A girl who was applying lipstick in front of the mirror immediately stood up and retorted when she heard the two boys laughing at the door. The girl's name was Yen Tong. She was Yunju's #1 admirer. Oh, is that so? Look, Yunju has already run to support his wife. Ha ha ha, quick, let's go and have a look. One of the two boys laughed as he put his arm around the other's shoulder and ran out with Yunju. Yunju, you, humph. Seeing this, Yen Tong stomped his feet and followed her. Yunju ran from class 9 to class 1 in less than half a minute. Duanli was standing at the door of the classroom. A female teacher was standing in front of her, scolding Duanli. It was obvious that the slap mark on Duanli's face was the work of this female teacher. Seeing this, Yen Tong-er crossed her arms and sneered. She said to the two boys who came to watch the show, Duanli from the first class is not Yunju's wife. I'm the future wife. Besides, Yunju would never talk back to the teacher for his so-called sister. With so many people watching, Yunju would at most show his concern for Duanli as a brother. There was nothing special about it. But the moment Yen Tong-er finished speaking, the two boys cried out in surprise. When Yen Tong-er looked over, she saw Yunju rushing directly to the female teacher in front of everyone. In the next second, he punched the female teacher to the ground and slapped her face with 10 times the force. He was a quiet adolescent, but he said coldly to the female teacher in front of everyone, "Old woman, don't let me see you bully her. Otherwise, I'll beat you up every time I see you." Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 2803. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Yunju kisses Duanli. Page 1/1. Yunju's punch landed heavily on the female teacher's face. In just a split second, the female teacher's face was smashed to the side. The female students around them screamed. The male students formed groups and put their arms around each other's shoulders. They were afraid that the commotion would not be big enough, so they gathered around and cheered. After the female teacher was beaten to the ground, the male teachers rushed out of the office after hearing the news. They ran over and tried to stop Yunju, who was about to punch the female teacher again. However, Yunju had learned martial arts from Yunjian and Ce. Although he was only trained during winter and summer vacations, he did not receive a harsh scolding like Zhou Yiran and the little fellow, Ce. He only learned some simple moves. However, these mature male teachers were no match for Yunju even though they had only learned a few moves. Yunju broke free of the male teacher's restraints. They were thrown aside by Yunju within 3 seconds. They could not get up after they fell to the ground. At that moment, Yunju turned her gaze back to the female teacher. Everyone's hearts tightened at this moment. Yunju was about to step forward and continue to beat up the female teacher who had bullied Duanli. No one could stop him. Stop! Duanli suddenly rushed forward and pulled Yunju back. Yunju stopped in his tracks and did not move forward. Cough cough. What does our male student eat? He's so strong. After the male teachers got up from the ground, they were afraid that Yunju would attack again. They immediately pulled Yunju back. The female teacher who had been beaten to the ground finally recovered. She twitched the corner of her mouth and stared at Yunju with wide eyes in disbelief. In the next second, she screamed at the top of her lungs, "Yunju! How dare you hit a teacher? Which class are you from? Punishment! You must be severely punished." Star City Junior High School was a school where parents from nearby cities racked their brains to send their students to. The quality of their students was very good. Therefore, most of the teachers in the school, regardless of whether it was the parents or the students, put on a high and mighty attitude. Yunju was self-reliant and did not want to cause trouble for Yunjian. He took on the severe punishment and suspension for a week from the school without any resistance. A suspension of classes for a week was more exciting than a pie falling from the sky for students who did not want to study or had given up on studying. However, for the students in Star City Junior High School, it was difficult to catch up with the progress even if they were to miss a day of classes, let alone a week of classes. Yunju, go and apologize to Mr. Zhao of Class 1. It's not your fault. You did it because of Duanli from Class 1. This punishment will follow you for the rest of your life. It will destroy you. Come with me to the office to clear things up. My dad knows the principal. can you cross off the penalty? Yen Tong was standing as he stood, Yunju who was standing as he Yen. Step. Yunju packed his bag and pushed Yen away. He slung his bag over his shoulder and strode out of the classroom. Come on, he only has his wife in his heart. Yen where do you think you're going? Ha ha ha. Seeing this, the two male students at the top of the class jeered again. Yen was furious. Class time. Duanli had just walked out of the teacher's office after being scolded. She saw Yunju as she turned a corner. When Yunju, Duanli, and Duanya were young, they had a lot of fun. However, when they grew up and reached puberty, Duanli and Yunju's temperament changed. Yunju was no longer as lively as before, calling Duanli chestnut. Even Duanli, who used to be very lively with Yunju, seemed to have realized the difference between men and women. She had been avoiding Yunju recently. Even Yunju did not know what he had done wrong. Why was Duanli avoiding him like the plague? Duanli was shocked when she saw Yunju standing there with his bag, but she quickly lowered her head. I'm sorry. Duanli apologized to Yunju. She was the one who caused Yunju to be punished for hitting the teacher and being suspended for a week. Yunju didn't respond to his apology. In Duanli's heart, Yunju was her brother. They had always been friends and family. Other than that, there was nothing else. Just when she felt that her brother was protecting her, her heart felt warm. Yunju, who was sitting opposite her, suddenly tossed her bag onto the ground. She strode forward and grabbed Duanli's head without any warning. She bent down and kissed Duanli fiercely as if she was going to swallow her whole. Translator, Henny Translations Editor, Henny Translations. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.